My name is Emma, and I'm 38 years old. After graduating from college and working for another company, I took over the family sandwich shop, a legacy from my granddad's time. My dad, Robert, who was a second-generation owner, passed away last year after a long battle with illness. Nowadays, I keep the place going with help from our longtime employees. It's a daily grind. However, at the beginning of this year, my younger brother Noah and his wife suddenly said they want to move back into our parents' house. The reason? Noah's company hasn't been doing well. They've lost their housing allowance, and continuing to pay their rent for their apartment has become a struggle. On top of that, Olivia is currently 8 months pregnant, so they want to find a new home quickly to ease their worries. From my perspective, there's enough room for them to move in. However, to be honest, I'm not particularly fond of Olivia. Why? Well, when Dad fell ill, and I was swamped managing the shop and caregiving, I once asked for a little help.
Huh? But I've got my own job. I can't help with the shop or hospital visits. That's your job, Emma. You're the heir apparent, after all.
Look, I get that you're busy, but I'm swamped too. I'm not asking for every day. Just help out at the shop on your days off. That way I can run to the hospital, pick up Dad's laundry, bring him some donuts, things like that.
No way. No way. Even on my days off. I've got golf, socializing with colleagues. There's a lot going on. You probably don't get it, Emma, since you couldn't even stick with a regular job.
Well, that may be true, but...
Plus, I can't ask Olivia to do that kind of stuff.
Why not? Olivia only works part-time 3 days a week, right? Couldn't she help out 1 day a week for Dad's sake?
Nah, can't do. When we got married, Olivia's father-in-law and mother-in-law told me sternly, don't ever let Olivia work in a small store like that in the shopping district.
I see. True, Olivia's in-laws have always looked down on us, saying things like, how could we let our sweet Olivia marry Noah, who's just a shop owner in a shopping district, ever since their marriage was decided. But the fact is, Olivia married into this family, so she should be considered a daughter to Dad as well. Is it really too much to ask for family help when Dad's health took a turn for the worse? Because of these exchanges, our longtime employees, part-timers, neighbors in the shopping district, and even childhood friends have been cold not to just Noah, but also to Olivia whenever she shows up at the shop.
Hey, I parked near the shopping district's entrance, and the chairperson said to me, back for another free meal at Emma's, are you? What's with the snark?
Seriously, how rude. Well, that's a given. This is Noah's parents' place. Doing that much for Noah won't bring about any misfortune. As Olivia said this angrily, laughter erupted from the kitchen among the employees, saying,
Then maybe Olivia should be the one to experience misfortune.
Furious, Olivia and Noah stormed out, taking as many sandwiches and deli items as they could carry. It was hard to feel convinced when Noah later said he wanted to move in together. But unable to say no to a pregnant Olivia, we started living together, even though it didn't feel quite right. 3 months later, perhaps it was no surprise, but living with Noah and Olivia was an absolute disaster. Olivia, now at home all the time after quitting her job, used her first-time pregnancy struggles as an excuse to shove all the household chores onto me. Even though our home is above the store, with the second and third floors as living space, it didn't matter. During business hours, Olivia would demand, Hey Emma, I'm kinda thirsty. Could you run to the convenience store and get me some organic barley tea?
It's almost lunchtime and we're pretty busy.
Come on, it's not a big deal. It's not like you're doing anything important.
Can't you wait a bit? Or take something from the fridge?
I need it now. Noah drank from the bottle this morning, so now I can't drink it. I'm worried about germs for the baby.
Well, why don't you come down to the store? We have various types of cold barley tea for sale.
No way. Walking all the way down from the 3rd floor is too much for me, a pregnant woman. You wouldn't understand, Emma. You've never been pregnant or even married.
Look, I may not have given birth, but you knew what you were getting into when you moved back in, right? Plus, we've got a home elevator installed when Mom got sick, so if stairs are a problem, you can use it.
It's not just about that. I'm talking about your lack of consideration, Emma. Seriously,
I'm worried about the future if you act like this now." In the end, frustrated by Olivia's complaints, I asked my part-time employee to cover for me, went to the convenience store to buy drinks, and delivered them to Noah and Olivia's space on the 3rd floor. Olivia kept finding reasons to summon me for various tasks, but as her due date approached, she went back to her parents' home. After returning home for the birth, Olivia gave birth safely. They said the boy weighed 110.07 ounces. However, I was told by Noah and Olivia to refrain from visiting because they didn't want people to find out that I'm the person who runs the sandwich shop. For the celebratory money, I was instructed to wire it to Noah's bank account. I was somewhat taken aback by their consistent behavior, but since I didn't want to get overly involved, I looked up the typical amount for a gift on the internet and transferred it to the designated bank account. 6 months had passed since Olivia returned from her parents' home. The first thing she said when she showed up in my living space on the 2nd floor was to plop down on the sofa and blurt out, "So, when are you planning on leaving?" "What? Leave? This house? Me?" "Yes. Haven't you heard anything from Noah?" As she said this, Olivia glanced toward Noah, who hastily began to make excuses. "Well, it's just, Emma is almost 40 and lonely, right? It's hard to tell her to move out on her own." "Ugh! Listen, being kind is one of Noah's good qualities, but you're a dad now. Act like it. Let me say this, Emma, are you aware that you're a woman still living in her childhood room?"
"Living in a childhood room? A woman?"
"Yeah, you've heard of it on the internet and TV, right? You're like one of those women who never left their childhood bedrooms and lives like some kind of monster. Dad's been gone for almost 3 years. Isn't it time you moved out of this house?"
"But if I move out, then this house..."
"Oh, are you worried about the sandwich shop downstairs? If so, no worries. We're shutting it down."
"Shutting it down? Olivia, it's easy for you to say, but what about the employees and part-timers?"
"Don't worry about that. I'll properly pay severance according to employment rules. Once Emma leaves, we're going to build a branch office for Olivia's dad's company here."
"What? Olivia? Does even your parents-in-law know about this?"
"It's more like establishing a branch for Dad's company here was a condition for them to approve our marriage."
After that, they went on saying things like, "Move out within a month. Hurry up and inform your suppliers, and take any dishes, furniture, or sentimental items from the store area with you." And then, perhaps sensing my silent anger,
"Even if you resent us, trying to squeeze money out of us is pointless."
"Yeah, don't get ahead of yourself. We'll cover the employees, but that's it."
It was then that I made up my mind. "Fine, I'll move out as quickly as possible." Saying that, I headed downstairs to the shop to discuss what would come next. 3 weeks later, after an extremely busy 3 weeks, I decided to move on the weekend. The weather was perfect for moving. In addition, the bulky items I took from my parents' house were mainly sentimental keepsakes from my dad and personal belongings, along with pots and knives that had been used by my granddad, dad, and me over 3 generations, so I didn't hire professionals. I got by with the help of people from the local shopping district, former employees, and longtime friends. Most notably, there were muscular men mixed in with my friends who helped carry stuff. They were bankers with a branch in the shopping district, and members of a local baseball team who often frequented my shop.
"Emma, anything fragile in here?"
"Huh? Which one?" That box should be fine. It probably has my granddad's recipe book."
"Wait, a recipe book? Isn't that really important? It'd be bad if it got mixed up with the other boxes."
"You're right. I'll take it separately in a cab at the end." While we were chatting and moving boxes, Noah and Olivia came down from the 3rd floor.
"Hey, you're not taking anything extra, are you?"
"Extra stuff?"
"You know, things that you could turn into cash while you're moving."
"Things I could turn into cash?"
"Makes sense. It's not like you could afford to hire movers today."
"Stop being so critical. Everyone's here to help me out of the kindness of their heart."
"Ooh, scary. Making useless excuses, huh?"
"Olivia, let's not make a big deal out of it. I took a look around the truck, and there's nothing of real value anyway. Let's just burn some incense to make sure she never comes back struggling financially again."
"Sounds like a plan."
Completely drained by their unfiltered insults, I let everyone hurry me along. We loaded all the boxes into the truck and left my parents' house. Several days later, a few days had passed since the move, and I was in a meeting when, just as I'd expected, I received a call from Noah and Olivia.
Emma, what's the meaning of this?
I'm in a meeting right now. What's so urgent?
What's so urgent? Some guy just showed up at our house today and said, "This property has been acquired by our bank. Please vacate within 3 days." What's going on?
Ah, that. Well, then you should do as the banker said.
Do as he said? Are you saying you sold the place without telling us?
It's my property, so what's wrong with selling it?
Your property? This place belongs to Noah.
Oh, really? Why's that?
What do you mean, why? Dad passed away, so naturally the inheritance goes to me, the son, right?
As Noah and Olivia loudly argue, I inform them that, legally, there's no difference in inheritance between a son and a daughter, so Noah and I would each get half.
Even if that's the case, half of it is still mine. How could you just go and...
Before he could finish. Well, the land and the building weren't Dad's to begin with, so the question of inheritance is moot. Upon hearing this,
What? What are you saying? Don't tell me, Emma. Did you deceive Robert, your dad, and get him to transfer the property to you before he passed?
And then Olivia starts shouting. My ears start to ache from the yelling, so I tell them I'll be there after my current meeting ends and hang up the phone. 2 hours later, after wrapping up my meeting, I head to my parents' house as promised. Joining me is the bank representative I was meeting with. All right, I'm here. So have you decided where you're moving to?
Why do we have to move out?
Exactly. Why is this happening?
Oh, goodness. I hope that taking some time would help you all calm down and think clearly. Seems like that was wishful thinking.
What did you say? Then explain it to us now.
As Olivia, holding a child, continues to shout with conviction, I decide to spread out the documents I brought and explain things carefully. The land was inherited from my dad's father, my granddad. The building we're currently living in, which also serves as a shop, was rebuilt during my dad's time. Obviously, he couldn't pay for it all at once, so he took out a bank loan in his name to cover the costs. The loan wasn't easy to manage, but given that my mom had fallen ill and become less mobile at that time, Dad insisted on a home with an elevator. So you followed me up to here, right?
Yes, we get it. But how does this connect to selling the place?
Well, Dad was making the loan payments faithfully, but about 10 years ago, a situation arose where he couldn't make the payments.
What do you mean he couldn't make the payments?
Global stock market crash, the resulting recession, and on top of that, Noah suddenly says he needs money for studying abroad. So Olivia starts yelling.
Was it a lie when you said you got invited to study abroad because of your excellent grades?
But I decided to ignore that and keep talking. Of course, Noah's academic excellence was all a lie. Flashy and showy, Noah started college, but kept failing classes until he dropped out. Not wanting to tarnish his reputation, he first enrolled in a language school overseas, then managed to slide his way into a local college there. Dad wanted to leave him to me, but Mom was soft on Noah, so she took the deed to the land and sold it.
She sold it?
Yes, luckily the head of the Merchants Association bought it, so we could continue living here just by paying market rate rent.
What about the building then?
After Mom sold the land, the money Noah needed was taken care of. However, in addition to the loan payments, Dad now had to pay rent for the land. Struggling financially, he considered selling the building and closing the shop. Seeing my dad like this, I couldn't stand it. I reached out to a gathering of young entrepreneurs in the area. They introduced me to a real estate-backed loan company, and I arranged a family sale contract with Dad.
Family sale contract? What's that?
That's when the bank representative who came with us chimed in on the conversation between me, Noah, and Olivia.
So, if you can't pay the mortgage, typically you'd lose your home, right? To avoid that, Emma has secured a loan from a real estate secured loan company for the remaining mortgage amount. She's buying this house from Robert with that money. Emma is buying this house from Dad? Exactly. The money Emma paid will be used by Robert to settle the debt with the bank he had the mortgage with. Then the house will be under Emma's name. This allows you all to keep living here and continue the business. But keep in mind, Emma will be the one paying off this loan from now on.
Right. So how I deal with this place is up to me. Got it? When I said I wanted to buy the house, Dad was initially against it, saying I was too young for such responsibility. But I convinced him, pointing out that being young meant I could take a longer mortgage term, reducing the monthly payments. I could use my savings from my time as an employee entirely for the down payment, and I'd move back into my parents' house to help out, so I'd have no more rent to worry about. In the end, the chairman of the Merchants Association, who became the landowner, also convinced Dad, which allowed us to continue the business. But now, with Dad gone, and Noah and Olivia making life difficult, I questioned my reasons for staying. I sought advice from both the bank that gave me the loan and the chairman who owns the land. It turns out that the chairman's grandchild wanted to open a clinic, so things fell into place quite smoothly. By the way, you do remember that I deposited Noah's $15,000 inheritance share directly into his bank account, right? Well, whether you remember or not, the matter is settled. This conversation is over. With that, I left the house, ignoring Noah and Olivia's commotion. What happened next? Noah and Olivia had been planning to eventually sell our parents' house to Olivia's dad and use that money to buy a high-rise condo for themselves. However, their plan failed spectacularly. Even Olivia's dad, who had been keen on acquiring our land, seemed to have ignored them. There was a reason Olivia's dad was so eager to get his hands on our land. Actually, not far from our neighborhood, past the local shopping district and close to the city's train station, construction has begun on 2 large high-rise apartment buildings. With a total of 397 units, the economic benefits for the local community are expected to be significant. While several developers have shown interest in the shopping district land, it's not easy for outsiders to join this tight-knit community. It seems that Noah and Olivia's relationship has soured quickly after this incident. They've decided to divorce, but are currently arguing over alimony and child support payments. I've received multiple calls from Noah asking to borrow money. But I firmly stated, a woman living in a kid's room doesn't have money to spare. I then left a text message for any future references and blocked all other means of communication with him. As for me, a banker I've gotten to know suggested that I start a food truck business. I now operate in the parking space of what used to be my shop, but is now a clinic, at events, and also serve corporate lunches through introductions from the bank. Not only have longtime customers started buying sandwiches, but the number of new customers has increased as well. I've even added a second food truck and employed some of my former workers. Plans are underway to focus on selling deli items in the evenings, targeting working moms. Inspired by the recipes left by my granddad and dad, I'm more motivated than ever to succeed.